What's up guys, Perry from Rockville here, and today we're going to explain all of the wires, inputs, and outputs on your PS40 micro amp. So if we take a look at the amplifier, you'll see we have all of these wires here. Some of them are used to power the amplifier, and some serve as inputs and outputs for the amplifier. So first let's talk about the wires to connect the amplifier to power with these three wires here. So we have the red wire here, which will go to the 12-volt terminal of the battery inside of your vehicle. Then we have the blue remote wire, which will go to the remote output of your head unit. And this connection is responsible for turning the amplifier on and off along with the rest of your system. So in other words, as soon as your head unit powers on, the amplifier will power on along with it. And as soon as the head unit is off, the amplifier will turn off as well. Now, if your head unit doesn't have the remote output or any turn-on leads, you can run your remote wire of your amplifier to the accessory lead of your vehicle, which will power on the amplifier with your vehicle's ignition. And lastly, we have the black ground wire, which can run to the metal chassis of your vehicle. Up next, we have the front and rear RCA inputs that can connect to your head unit. Now, if you ever get confused on which one is which, every single wire input and output is labeled here on the amp itself, so you can always tell what you're connecting to. So to connect your head unit to these RCA inputs, you're gonna take an RCA cable, plug one end into the rear left and right output of your head unit, then plug the other end into the rear left and right input of your amplifier. You're then gonna do the exact same thing for the front input, so take another RCA cable, plug one end into the front left and right output of your head unit, then plug the other end into the front left and right input of your amplifier. Now, if your head unit has high level output wires, you can also use these Euroblock to RCA adapters here. So for example, you can take the high level output wires for your front left and front right output and connect them into the spade terminals here of your adapters, then plug the other ends into the front left and right inputs on your amplifier. Then you can do the exact same thing with the rear high level output wires, connect them into the Euroblock terminals on your adapters, then plug the other ends into the rear left and right inputs on your amplifier. Next, we have all of the wires here to connect our speakers to our amplifier. So first we have the white wires here to connect the front left speaker, and we have one positive and one negative wire, with the negative wire having the black strip here to let you know that it's the negative. So you can take another lead and run positive to positive and negative to negative, and then connect your other ends to the positive and negative terminals of your speakers. Next, we have the gray wires to connect the front right speaker, again with the plain wire acting as the positive and the one with the black stripe as the negative. Next, we have the green wires to connect to the rear left speaker, again with the plain wire acting as the positive and the one with the black stripe as the negative. And lastly, we have the purple wire to connect to the rear right speaker, again with the plain as the positive and the one with the black stripe as the negative. Again, you can connect separate leads to all of these wires and make sure they're running to the positive and negative terminals of your speakers, and you're all good to go. Another thing to keep in mind is that each of these channels are 2 ohm stable, which gives us plenty of options for speaker setups. It will also make wiring your speakers super simple because you can run every speaker in parallel. So you can have anywhere from 1 to 4 speakers set up to each channel, depending on the impedance of your speakers. So for example, you can have 4 8-ohm speakers ran in parallel to one channel for a final impedance of 2 ohms, which can go with one of our channels here. You can also have 2 4-ohm speakers set up on a channel, or 1 2-ohm speaker set up to a channel. So as long as the final impedance is 2 ohms, you're going to be pulling the full power of the amplifier at 85 watts, and anything above that is going to pull less power. So for example, if your final impedance is 4 ohms, you're going to be drawing 50 watts of power from the amp. So hopefully this helped explain all of the wires, inputs, and outputs for your PS40. But of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to our customer support team through phone or email. As always, I'm Perry from Rockville, and we'll see you guys next time.